Good afternoon. I am doing my speech for communications on chemical engineering. The people watching me are Kira, Sadie, Colin, my mom's friend Tiffany, and my mom. Okay, so the importance of chemical engineering. This speech is to educate people on the importance of chemical engineering and what chemical engineers do, who they are employed by, and where we would be without this occupation. I can predict that all of you know little to nothing or just don't care about what exactly chemical engineering is. And that's sad and surprising because chemical engineers work in almost every industry and affect the production of almost every article manufactured on an industrial scale. Chemical engineering, despite what you all may believe, is very important. It is required for a variety of occupations, and it often helps improve the lives of many citizens. Now, for me, this topic is very important because it is what I plan to study in college and plan to do after college. Since I like topics like math, biology, physics, chemistry, I just thought it would be a good fit for me. So I promise to be as honest as possible because I don't want to lie to myself either. Some main points of this presentation will be the importance of chemical engineering in different industries, as well as some famous chemical engineers who have helped make the world a better place. So, what exactly do chemical engineers do? The main role of chemical engineers, as stated by the American Institute of Chemicals, they state, chemical engineers translate processes developed in the lab into practical applications for the commercial production of products and then work to maintain and improve those processes. This basically means that the main role of engineers is to design and troubleshoot processes for the production of chemicals, foods, fuels, pharmaceuticals, biologicals, that's just to name a few. Chemical engineering is so broad and flexible because chemical reactions, atoms, and chemicals in general are literally everywhere, and many chemical engineers love the flexibility from testing and manufacturing to even becoming an entrepreneur. So you may be asking yourselves, what are some of the duties of being a chemical engineer? Well, one of the main duties of being a chemical engineer is to build on discoveries made by chemicals using computer models and other processes to determine the efficiency and safety of the product for the overall population. A more common duty that you guys might be familiar with is that they're in charge of being able to manufacture and find methods of manufacturing said chemicals like vaccines. Another common part of being a chemical engineer is implementing safety procedures for working with these hazardous chemicals, that way no one gets hurt. What is a typical workspace for a chemical engineer? Well, by the American Chemical Society. Chemical engineers typically work in manufacturing plants, research laboratories, or pilot plant facilities. They work around large-scale production equipment that is housed both indoors and outdoors, and are often required to wear personal protective equipment. They can also work in laboratories. And a typical workday for a chemical engineer working in a plant may involve traveling from one function to the next within a facility. Chemical engineers who work in business and management offices often visit research and production facilities. Interaction with other people who are part of the team is critical to the success of projects. So, keep all this in mind. Thinking on this, what exactly is the importance of chemical engineers? Well, chemical engineering and those who work in the study are becoming more interesting and more important as the days go on. In fact, I've talked to the chemical engineering professor at YSU, and one of the things he said to me was he wishes that he was born around 50 years later, because the stuff that I'll get to do compared to the stuff he gets to do are going to be a lot more revolutionary and a lot more exciting. Chemical engineers are set up by many different industries because of the flexibility with each engineer. To name a few interesting jobs. The military employs chemical engineers to create ultra-strong fibers, fabrics, and adhesives for their vehicles. And chemical engineers can also create biocompatible materials for hip replacements and shoulder replacements and thereof, so the body does not attack it and poison the person that gets the treatment. So, since the prospect of engineering Since the prospect of chemical engineering has improved so much over time, more and more doors are opening that allow them to help even more people in a broad range of subjects. As you can see here, I went online and found a chemical engineering job list, and it goes to a lot of different places, like consultancy from water engineering. And I've talked to the professor at YSU about a variety of projects that they are working on, including treatments for cancer, to producing vaccines, to even just projecting sales. Chemical engineering is so important and so broad that it is involved in several different types of engineering as well. As you can see here, production engineer, process design engineer, purchase engineer, operation engineer, teachers, entrepreneurs, all spread from chemical engineering. Since chemical engineers have enhanced analytical skills and have an aptitude for chemistry, there is a very high demand pretty much everywhere you go. These jobs can also range from nuclear engineering, energy engineering, petroleum engineering, rocketry, pharmaceutical engineering, healthcare, just a lot. Chemical engineering is so, I can't stress this enough, it is so important that there are numerous organizations devoted to making sure these chemical engineers can stay in contact with each other and so they could further their education. To name a few, there is the American Institute of Chemical Engineering, one I've already mentioned a couple times in this presentation, and this was established in 1908 and has over 45,000 followers in over 150 different countries. Recently, it's been posting about their efforts to help contain the coronavirus and figure it out. So even today, chemical engineers are still making a big difference. Along with the American Institute of Chemical Engineering, we have the Indian Institute of Chemical Engineering and Omega Chi Epsilon. So you've heard a lot of good things about chemical engineering, but where's the proof? What's the proof that they've actually changed the world so far? Well, there have been many famous chemical engineers that have made a lasting impact in the world and helped to make it a better place in a couple different ways. The first one we have here is George E. Davis. He was born in 1850 and lived to the age of 56, dying in 1906. He is often referred to as the founding father of the discipline of chemical engineering, and also coined the term chemical engineering. Davis delivered the very first chemical engineering lecture. This consisted of 12 different lectures that he combined into a single course at the University of Manchester in 1887. And he would ultimately kickstart the revolution that spawned generations of world-changing chemical engineers. On a more practical note, another famous chemical engineer is Carl Bosch. He really fascinates me. He was born in Germany in 1874 and passed away in 1940, living to just 66. Bosch is best known for his improvement of Fitz-Haber's Haber-Bosch process, which in my opinion is really awesome. The process that he designed would remove nitrogen from the air and convert this nitrogen to ammonia. With this ammonia, it would be possible to produce synthetic fertilizers and thus produce enough food for a growing world population. He won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for this invention in 1931. Effectively, he was pulling food out of thin air. Question.
How do you know this much?
References at the bottom of the page, sir. Without Bosch and Haber, the world would only be producing around 2/3 of the current food growth. I don't think I need to stress why that's important. Another one of the many famous chemical engineers who changed the world is Robert Langer. He was born in 1948 and is still currently alive. He is known as the father of tissue engineering and has over 1,100 issued patents and pending patents, and is known for his contributions to medicine and biotechnology, and has invented new technologies to better the drug delivery system to keep less harm from coming to patients. He is the most cited engineer and currently the David H. Koch Institute professor at MIT. So chemical engineers, although not too many people are aware of their successes, how much work they do, and how much they've changed the world, they are the backbone to many different types of engineering and many processes in general. Chemical engineers have a very broad range of jobs that they have access to, are very important to progressing and furthering science, from chemicals to like vaccines and medicines, to making better vehicles to the military, to projecting sales. They have many different ways of helping people. Chemical engineers, whether they produce numerous vaccines to combat the coronavirus, create new materials for the army, or in favor of car safety, studying microbiology to find treatments to cancer, producing food for the foreseeable future, generally making the world a better place. They're all part of important branches of engineering. I believe that all chemical engineers will make the world an even better place, especially now that so many advancements have already been made and are still being made, and I plan to be there in the future. Thank you all so much for listening to me. Okay.